somebody's got to step up and do it. Doesn't matter who it is, but it's got to be somebody. You can't just have one leader on this offense. Who's it going to be? Let's figure that out. Welcome back to RGR. I'm Ryan, and we need to talk about something else. Something that's kind of gone lost a little bit over the last couple of weeks. And it's just because when you have a quarterback of the caliber of Pat Mahomes, it makes it easy to kind of overlook a couple of things. And there's so much turmoil. The offense is being relied on to keep doing what it's doing. And with Mahomes, that's pretty easy to do. You can expect it to go that way. You can expect him to make plays and make everybody else better. But leadership comes from other spots. You have to be prepared to be in a position for him to make you look good. And so that's what I want to talk about today, because there's been so little news about the Tyreek Hill situation that we just don't know what's going to happen. I have my theories, and I know a lot of you have opinions on what this suspension or lack of suspension, I've even heard somebody say zero suspension, what that's going to look like. But it's all going to have an effect. So when it comes down to it, who else can fill in? What needs to happen as they go forward in this process, getting ready for what could be the biggest season in franchise history since, Super Bowl IV. It's one of those deals that you can't just overlook the fact that it's not going to be a full suspension. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that. But beyond that, there's work that has to do, because the Hill situation affects everyone else. Mecole Hardman in particular, trying to learn, trying to fit into the offense. All the younger guys, the Pringles, Thompsons, Dieter, Kemp, any number of guys, they're going to be fighting for that 5th and 6th wide receiver spot. But the guy that it puts the most emphasis on, in my opinion, is Sammy Watkins. And Sammy's kind of a unique dude. Very, very interesting follow on Twitter. If you don't follow Sammy, give it a shot, because you're going to hear some cosmic stuff that maybe we should all be thinking about more. Maybe Sammy's got all the answers, and I'm just trying to play catch up. I have no idea. But what I noticed from him, and we saw it earlier in OTAs, the way that he spoke, the way that he carried himself is one thing. We're hearing more and more reports about just what kind of shape he's in, and the fact that people within the Chiefs organization are talking to some folks outside the organization about just how in shape he is, and how he looks quick, and how he looks fast down the field. These are things that are preparing Sammy to be a number one wide receiver. That's the attitude that he seems to have taken, and that we have to be prepared for as well. And it goes hand in hand with how this thing happens with Hill, because we don't know how long it's going to be. I still feel like it's going to be around 4 games. I don't feel it's going to be the half season or the whole season. And I honestly don't feel it's going to be nothing either. I've heard several reports of that lately. And a lot of people asking me questions. I haven't heard any with any inside knowledge that he's going to go unpunished. I don't see how that actually happens. So you have to prepare yourself. What's going to happen is at some point, the Chiefs are going to have to reactivate him and allow him back into the practice facility and get going. And I assume that's going to come pretty close to camp. Unless there's another legal announcement of some kind, the DA or DCS making a decision. Beyond that, at that point, the commissioner's waiting for that. So we're not going to have a suspension at that point, I don't think. I think what's going to happen is they're going to allow him back into camp, and he's going to show up there. He's going to practice, and he's going to be himself. If he's smart, he's been keeping in shape, and I have to assume that that's probably likely. And what that's going to do is bring him through to get that progression in camp, to get like he's ready to play. You have full Tyreek Hill in physical shape, but unable to play. And that's going to be a challenge for Reid and the coaching staff about just how many reps do you give to him, knowing that he's probably going to be out a couple weeks. I expect by the first preseason game that we're going to know what his suspension is. So my guess is he's going to practice through camp. Usually the suspension is only for games, so he's going to participate all through training camp. Right up to the preseason. Week 1, he won't be allowed in the facility, won't be able to practice. And they're going to lose that for 2, 4, maybe more weeks. I still think it's going to be around 4, but I could be wrong. So in the meantime, in camp, How do you get him in shape? How do you continue to build that relationship with Mahomes that he clearly has on the field without taking away from the other guys, knowing that 2 or 4 weeks or something like that, you're going to have to not have him. Those guys are going to have to step up. It's going to be an exercise in juggling practice reps. And that's particularly important for guys that need to step up, like Hardman, like Robinson, like Pringle, guys that we need to see ascending. But the thing that it puts the most pressure on is Sammy Watkins, because Sammy's got to run routes out of the X while Tyreek's here, and he's probably going to have to move around quite a bit more when Tyreek is out. And I think that's going to be the difference, is how can Sammy adjust to being the guy who is the move guy, who you're trying to get matchups for? That's the question. And Sam's got to work on recognition, not just the physical things as well. I think that's what we're seeing here in the lead up to training camp, is Sammy Watkins preparing to be that guy that the offense is designed to get free, probably along with Travis Kelce, but because of his injury, that's a little bit iffy too. And if both those things are true, you have Sammy drawing focus of a defense over here, hopefully DeMarcus doing his thing here, and that allows a little bit of a gap out of that slot spot. And that's where I think Hardman initially, and probably Pringle as well, if everything goes in camp the way it seems like it's going so far, if everybody's progression remains the same, I think that's what's going to happen. And those guys running out of the slot is going to be the difference maker. You're looking at a three-headed monster where you have to have Sammy Watkins step up and be that leader. And that's not just on the field. He also has to lead in the room. The loss of Chris Conley is something. We talked about that with Matt Derrick. If you missed that, check out this week's episode with him. And what it comes down to is you spend all this time in the NFL. You spend a lot of time with your position mates in your position room, looking at film, technique, etc. Somebody's got to lead that. Somebody's going to harp on the details. Somebody's got to be the group leader, not just the coach. It can't just come from the position coach. But he's got to step up there in Tyreek Hill's absence and take those guys, the rest of that group that are fighting to make the roster, fighting to make plays, and kind of lead them. Make sure they're looking at the right things. Make sure they're doing their homework, getting the film work in. And that's going to be a key piece. And I think that's going to be the telling part. Right now, it seems physically, Sammy Watkins is doing everything that he can. It's going to be, does he take that leadership role? That's something to watch for in camp. And I think a motivated and a leading Sammy Watkins is going to be a bit of a different animal and will be really good for his performance as well. So tell me what you think. Leave your comments below. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscription button, hit the notifications, and set them up however you like them. And make sure that if you like this particular video, give that thumbs up, because YouTube loves those. I am looking at doing more of these and trying to take a look position by position as we go through the summer months, as we get ready for training camp. I'll be at camp at some point, so will the rest of the guys from Locked On Chiefs, and we'll let you all know about that. So for now, thanks for watching today. Make sure you check out these videos, and I'll talk to you next time.